Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
Oh, hi everybody. Ezra Levant here. How you doing? Sorry for the quick delay. We're back on. You know what? It's really important that we migrate off of YouTube voluntarily before they kill us. I want you to know how to find us for when that dark day comes. Could come as soon as today. Seriously. So right now we're streaming on YouTube. Are we streaming on Rumble also? I hear that we're momentarily going to be live on Rumble. I'm on the Rebel News page on Rumble. Is that where the stream, I would find the stream if it's live? There it is. I see it right there. So we're on the Rumble page also. Thank you for doing that. Justin's back in town. Special thank you to Efron and the other folks who were helping in Justin's absence. One of the incredible things I learned when YouTube suspended us last week was that our view count did not drop. Well, how can that be? Our view count was 0. Well, we weren't able to put any new videos up. Our view count, we had people still watching our historic library of videos, but I mean our net view count did not drop. What do I mean by that? Rumble, Odyssey, they actually, at least in terms of the daily live stream, had more viewers than we had on YouTube. Do you see what I'm saying? I thought, oh my God, we're dead. Our live stream, we can't live stream anymore. But to my amazement, we had more viewers on our Rumble live stream than we did on any typical day with YouTube. How is that possible, given that we have 1.45 million YouTube subscribers? How is it possible that on a new platform like Rumble, where we have less than 25,000 subscribers, so we're literally, what, 50 times bigger? Is my math right on that? More than that. We're like, what's 25 into, so 440. We're 60 times bigger on YouTube than on Rumble, but we had more viewers on Rumble than YouTube for our live stream. How's that possible? It doesn't make sense. Our YouTube subscribers obviously want our stuff. I'm not saying everyone in the world likes our stuff, but those people who click a button and say, yeah, I want it, you would think they want it. Obviously, YouTube was suppressing us. And so I'm happy to report that we are not dead. We will not die. And even if YouTube does pull the plug on us, which I believe they will imminently, we will actually have more viewers in the future because we will be on platforms that don't actively suppress us. I have been laboring these past years under a false consciousness. I thought that I was a respected and valued customer to YouTube. I mean, Lord knows we make them hundreds of thousands. We made them millions of dollars over the years in ads. We've brought 1.45 million subscribers to them. Many people who wouldn't be there, many people who are there but really liked us better than other things. I mean, there's obviously YouTube has an audience for us, but we brought an audience to them and we brought content to them. We put millions of dollars in YouTube's pockets. Last year they assigned us a strategic partner manager, which I thought was some sort of symbol that they were treating us in a business-like way. Little did I know that the entire time they were suppressing our views. I knew they were deboosting our planned videos, like our uploads. I mean, you can see that just by Googling or doing a YouTube search for the exact title of our videos, and it would show a CBC, CTV, or Global story first, and then ours underneath it. I asked about that. They said, yeah, we deboost yours and boost the legacy media. They didn't hide it. I knew that was going on. I did not realize till now how viciously they suppressed our YouTube views on the live stream. Is that not fascinating to you? I mean, just right now, we've got 958 people watching on the YouTube live stream, and we have 845 people watching on the Rumble live stream, and we were 5 minutes late on getting Rumble started. Incredible. All right, don't you worry. I'm not going to spend the whole show talking about me, Rebel, deplatforming, things like that. I just want to let you know I find it fascinating. Do you think we'll be able to get the Odyssey stream back up tomorrow? Is it a technical problem or is it something we think we can do? Yeah, I don't know. All right, we'll figure it out. Thanks, Justin. All right, well, I got in my hand here, just delivered by Justin, a list of some clips, and I got a talking to from some commenters on Friday who said, Ezra, we don't want to hear about your personal flights of fancy. Don't tell us about your unicycle study. Don't tell us about Anton Pillar orders. Enough with the stream of consciousness. Tell us the news. All right, I'll do a little more of that, but sometimes a guy has to talk about unicycle studies. I think that is the most authoritative study on the reaction to unicycles ever published. It also is the only study on reactions to unicycles ever published, and I want you to know about it, and now you do. Here's some of the videos we have to share for you today. As you know, the strictest lockdown in North America is Montreal, where they actually have a nightly curfew at 8 p.m. That makes no sense. There's no medical basis for it. You don't catch a virus at night as opposed to during the day, or whatever the theory is. It doesn't make sense. If the idea is to not have people socializing, well, you're just compressing the socializing you can't go to restaurants either in Montreal. They're all locked down. It's just abusive. It makes no sense. And one of the things we do is we have a reporter out there named Yankee Pollock. He goes out during the lockdowns, during the curfew, and he looks at police misconduct. And there's this weird rule. You cannot go out for a walk during the pandemic, but your dog can. So if you have a dog, you can accompany your dog. But if you have a child, and your child wants some exercise, your child cannot go outside. So in Montreal and other parts of Quebec, there is a curfew, and your dog has more freedom than your child. Than you, really. Unless you get a dog, it's like a passport. It's like a living, breathing canine passport. Look, Copper, I got a dog. Go harass someone else. Isn't that weird? So the thing about certain folks is certain folks want to go and party, certain folks want to go live their life. But the very Orthodox Jews in some neighborhoods in Montreal, they go out because they got to go to synagogue to pray. That's just what their thing. They pray 3 times a day. You know, you could take it or leave it. It's what they do. But one of their prayers is an evening prayer, so it quite often puts them in conflict with this curfew. Also the Sabbath, the Jewish Sabbath. And by the way, don't tell Orthodox Jews to do their prayers via Zoom, because one of the things about the Jewish Sabbath and holidays is you can't use electricity. It's sort of old school that way. It's like the Amish a little bit. They dress a little like the Amish. They speak German or Yiddish a little bit like the Amish. And they, at least for the Sabbath, they issue ESCHEW, modern technology for at least 24 hours a week. So you can't, if you're an Orthodox Jew, you can't go to your Sabbath services via Zoom. You can't do that. So you can imagine the Montreal curfew police especially brutalize the community. They've always had a long-standing antipathy towards them because they look different and sound different, and they're not part of the traditional Francophone culture. Anyways, our friend Yankee goes out there, and let's start with the second clip, Justin. The cops all know Yankee because we've had so many lawyers' letters going back and forth demanding that the police stop harassing Yankee. We point out that they call him Jew media. Are you a Jew? Jew. He is Jewish, but Rebel News is not an inherently Jewish organization. We're covering the lockdown, not Jews. How the police pick on the Jews is interesting to us, but we're not covering it in a religious manner. Anyways, so let me show you a couple of vids from Yankee over the weekend. Here's one that shows you they're tracking Yankee. They're obsessed with Yankee. They have a database on Yankee. Yankee is in their system. They still ticket him. Here, take a look.
Are you proud of your job?
Sir.
Are you proud of your job?
Sir, listen to me. Don't ask me any question, okay?
I'm allowed to ask.
Because actually,
I'm allowed to
you're pressed.
ask.
That's okay, you're pressed.
I'm allowed to ask
That's
you.
okay, you're pressed. But now if you ask me a question, you're entrapping my
I'm
work,
not.
okay? So let me do my job, okay?
You're not speaking to them, they are.
Let me do my job.
What is your job? Tell me what your job is.
Give me a paper that allows you to be outside right now.
Sure.
And I'm gonna ask you a piece of ID too.
Sure.
Because actually you are entrapping my
I am
my
not.
work.
He was
Yes,
speaking
of
to
course. I'm
them.
trying to do my job.
What is your job? I asked you what your
There's no
job
reason
is.
to ask me any question, okay?
I saw other people going through
If you are really impressed, you can ask for our service. That ask for.
No, I asked you. I asked you. You weren't busy with him. I have it on video.
You have no question.
I did. I asked, what are you doing here?
You exactly know
Here.
what we're doing.
No, take
do you have a
it.
piece of
Yeah,
do you have a
take
piece
it.
of ID too?
I'm gonna give you an ID, whatever you
Okay.
want. You don't like answering questions. That's not a crime for me to
You know
ask.
the question. You know the answer. You know everything.
No, I'm asking you for an answer. If you don't want to answer, that's fine. You're
Like 4 months that
You're
you're
embarrassed by the answer. That's why you want to give me a ticket, because you're embarrassed by it.
Dat ook mooi, perfecte metaal.
What is there? What is the paper that?
That's for my lawyer. If you're gonna harass me, I'll sue you. That's what it says. And that's the curfew letter. So if you want to harass me, no problem. Go ahead. I'll sue you. Each and every one of you.
Okay, sir.
What is your name?
You will be able to sue me.
What's your name and badge number?
You will have this on the paper.
So why don't you give it to me?
Go back on the sidewalk.
You know what? Yankees getting tougher every week. There were some interesting things in there. I don't know if you caught them. So I was in that neighborhood a few weekends ago with Yankee. It's a very Jewish neighborhood, and the police swarm it all the time. You would think it's like a terrorist breeding ground or a Hell's Angels turf or something like that. I spoke to Yankee the other day. He said that there were 50 police cars in the Jewish neighborhood. I don't think that there's any other police operation in the entire province of Quebec that would have 50 cop cars. That's the size of a police force you have if you're doing a raid on a large criminal organization. You know, you're taking down 10 safe houses or whatever. No, they're just going after the Jews. It's really weird because, you know, it's just, why are you focusing on them? After a certain point, it becomes obvious. But I think that their antipathy towards Yankee, and I want to be fair to them, I think that the Montreal police have a predilection against the religious Jews. They have sort of a historic beef with them. But I think that you heard the real reason they don't like Yankee and Rebel News. Did you hear what he said? Don't ask me any questions. That's verbatim. I wrote that down. So Yankee was standing on the sidewalk. There were a bunch of cop cars there. One of them was asking questions of an old man who was walking on the street. Another was standing around. Yankee's on the sidewalk, and he says, "What are you doing? How do you feel about your job?" It's like just asking questions. He wasn't swearing, he wasn't shouting, he wasn't using insults. He was certainly not interfering. He was not obstructing in any way. But the cop said, "Don't ask me any questions." And he implied that to do so was obstruction. No, you little tyrant, you little thug. Yankee's a journalist, and even if he was just a regular citizen, he has the right to ask a cop any damn question he pleases. And if you don't want to answer it because you don't have a good answer, because you don't want to dignify the question with a response, that's fine. So just stay quiet. There's no compulsion on the police to answer the question, are you proud of yourself? But just ignore him. Don't say, "Don't ask me any questions, give me your papers." In fact, the one question that I think there might be a compulsion to answer is, "What's your name and badge number?" But the little coward went away into his car. Did you hear also that he said to Yankee, "You've been doing this for 3 or 4 months." Did you catch that part? So they all know who Yankee is. And I think Yankee, I'd have to check, I think he's up to 15 tickets. And now they just ticket him for sport. I like the fact that Yankee said, "If you harass me, we'll sue you." And in fact, that day is coming. And I think these police need to be told by a judge that the way they do their policing is inappropriate. This was less aggressive, I grant you, than the Montreal policing we've seen in the past, where they slam our people against cars, handcuff them, try to do a warrantless search of our Airbnb houseboat. But it's still inappropriate, and obviously, 3 or 4 months into it, no one has corrected them. Certainly not the Montreal area media, which is completely in support of the lockdown and the brutal enforcement of it. And frankly, I don't think they like the Hebrews too much anyways. So I think we need to get before a judge, and hopefully that judge will remind Montreal's police the way to do things. I saw a hilarious headline that Montreal is beefing up its hate crimes unit. Will that include cops accosting Rebel News journalists and saying, "Are you a Jew? Are you a Jew? Are you a Jew?" That's sort of Fox guarding the henhouse kind of thing. That's sort of like OJ hunting for the real killer kind of thing. Montreal's police is going to try and find out, where are those bigots? I don't know. Why don't you go look for the bigots in Outremont? They're the guys wearing badges harassing the old man. Here's a video of, like I mentioned before, the curfew. If you're a man, you can't go out. If you're a child, you can't go out. If you're a dog, you can go out. So I guess there's a lot of people getting dogs. Take a look at this.
Look what's going on over here.
You see all the cop cars there? Now, if I'm not mistaken, Yankee said he knew that man, and so he knew that he got the dog simply because that's the only way the police will allow him to walk through his street. Isn't that weird? I put up a tweet this morning. Not everyone liked it. Can you find my tweet? I think it might even be my pinned tweet. And by the way, we've got 1,500 people on YouTube, and we've got almost 1,400 people on Rumble. That's not real. There's no way our channel on Rumble that has 25,000 subscribers has the same traffic as YouTube, which has 1.45 million subscribers, but essentially the same view count on a live stream. That's YouTube suppressing it. It just is. Do you have my tweet? So as you can see, Yankee said this rabbi was on the way to give a night lecture. After giving his papers and verification, they let him go on his way. And you want to just click that within the screen there. You don't need to open it up in its own, that little video there. Just click play on that. Can you do that? Is there audio?
There you go, sir. Everything is verified. Have a good evening, okay?
So that was friendly. He called him sir. Have a good evening. Everything is verified. There's something we talk about here at Rebel News. We call it the observer effect. Yeah, take it down, but keep it handy. I'll put it back up in a second. The observer effect. It's a phrase from quantum physics. The paradox of light. Is it a wave or a particle? I also refer to Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. I'd be lying if I said I have a full understanding of these things. But I do understand the observer effect. It's like when you turn over a rock and all the little creeple crawlies sort of scurry. By looking at it, by moving the rock, you can see it, but you've also changed it, right? The things are scurrying away in the light. That's an example of the Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. Another one I remember, did I tell you this before? My high school physics teacher used this example. I thought it was a great one. Let's say you have a drawer. Did I tell you this one? And you've got some dice in there. What do the dice say? What are the numbers? I don't know. But if you open the drawer quickly, the dice will tumble. So by observing it, you change it. I thought that was a very interesting thing. you can't know it at any moment without checking, and then you've changed it. The observer effect. I'll stop with my stream of consciousness, and I just love thinking about that. I tell you, my best, one of my best teachers in my life was my high school physics teacher. I think Mr. McGuire was his name. He just loved the subject very much. And he really made it easy to understand. So I think that Yankee, what we saw there was the observer effect. That cop knew he was being filmed by Yankee. So did you see his best behavior? Here you go, sir. He didn't say, here you go, Jew. All your papers are in order. Have a nice night. I truly believe that's the observer effect. And you get a sort of observer effect when the cops say, Yankee, turn off your camera. Yankee, give us your papers. I'm going to steal an hour of your time to slow walk your ticket writing. That's a form of the observer effect. It shows bad faith. There's two different ways police can react when you film them. One is to suddenly be polite. Yes, sir. No, sir. Have a nice night, sir. And the other is to get all abusive because they know you caught them. It's very interesting to me. But I made a tweet because, the idea of police stopping a nice old man dressed up like a Jew with that Orthodox hat and coat is, why are we pulling over Jews in the middle of the night by police with lights flashing? I mean, that one guy had an idea with the dog. And by the way, we got a dog during the pandemic, and it really transforms so much of your life. It's almost like having a little person. I mean, you just have to pay attention all the time, and you have. I tell you, it's taken me did I tell you, Justin, I'm down 15 pounds. Because how many times have I told you today? I've told you about 3 or 4 times already. That was just the second time today, yeah. And partly it's the dog. The dog takes me for a walk, and that dog likes to go fast. I do not. So, and sometimes the dog really pulls me. He's like a little motorized device. Anyways, so I recommend dogs, but not everyone can take a dog. And although I recommend dogs, you ought not to need a dog to go for a walk on your own street. And I put up my tweet because I was very lippy. Yankee said the rabbi was let go on his way, and I said, when Montreal's police stop Jews on the street to ask for their papers, do they ask in French, English, or the original German? That's very mean, isn't it? And some people didn't like that. Show me the interactions. Just scroll down a bit there. Yes, some like it, some don't like it. Click on the quote tweets. What do people have to say about that? F the papers. I don't want that. Oh yeah, that's right. Gestapo papers. Yeah, where are your papers? The new brigade. The new Nazi brigades, I'm translating from French, in full action of repression. This is not, oh yeah, click on translate so you don't have to read my brutal translation. Do you know how to do that? Click on that tweet and then click translate. The new Nazi brigades in full repression. This is not the past, but indeed a future that we are now, creating in all conscience with this medical health dictatorship. That's a thoughtful commentary. Scroll down a little bit. Where have I seen this movie before? Outrageous. And the fascist coup in Canada. Scroll down. This makes my blood run cold. All right, not everyone liked it. There were some other people who were upset that I made such a comparison. I'm not comparing what's happening in Montreal to the Holocaust. Obviously, that's apples and oranges. I'm not making that. That would be a form of Holocaust trivialization to do that. But I am noting how casually the establishment is not only accepting but ordering the police pull over Jews and ask for their papers in the middle of the night. You don't find that, it doesn't ring any alarm bells for you. And by you, I mean you're a police officer. Nothing feels wrong about that to you? He's an old man, he's going to synagogue or whatever, and you wear your papers as if the papers would determine whether or not he's a health risk. Papers, black squiggles on a white page. What's that got to do whether or not it's healthy? Show me your black squiggles on a white page, and I'll tell you if you're going to jail or not. What? I'm just walking about. No, this is about your health. Yeah, I promise. Yeah. I say again, the central characteristic of what's going on is not, in my opinion, the religion of these Jews. I believe if they were of a different background and they were out and about, not all backgrounds though, there's some protected classes. And with Yankee, the primary beef they have is that he's daring to film them when the rest of the media will not. So that's, I think if any of them have a latent antipathy towards Jews, it comes out when they deal with the Yankee. But I don't think that that's their primary animus. I think their primary reason for hating Yankee is that he's got the camera. You heard the cop. Don't ask me any questions. Can we play that again? That is actually an incredible thing to tell a journalist standing on the sidewalk. Don't ask me any questions. Now, it wasn't barked like that, but they have barked like that before. They've slammed our people up against trucks, handcuffed them. Let's play. I'm going to jot down what I think are the most interesting things. I know we played this once, but let me jot down all the things I think are newsworthy. Then we'll move on. But go ahead, play that clip one more time.
Are you proud of your job?
Sir.
Are you proud of your job?
Sir, listen to me. Don't ask me any question, okay?
I'm allowed to ask.
Because actually,
I'm allowed to
press.
ask.
That's okay, you're press.
I'm allowed to ask
That's
you.
okay, you're press. But now if you ask me a question, you're entrapping my question.
I'm not.
So let me do my job, okay?
You're not speaking to them, they are.
Let me do my job.
What is your job? Tell me what your job is.
Give me a paper that allows you to be outside right now.
Sure.
And I'm gonna ask you a piece of ID too.
Sure.
Because actually you are entrapping my
I am
my
not.
work.
He was
Yes,
speaking
of
to
course. I'm
them.
trying to do my job.
What is your job? I asked you what your job
Reason
is.
to ask me any question, okay?
I saw other people going through
If you are really impressed, you can ask for our service. That ask for.
No, I asked you. I asked you. You weren't busy with him. I have it on video.
You have no question.
I did. I asked, what are you doing here?
You exactly know
Here.
what we're doing.
No, take
do you have a
it.
piece of-
Yeah,
do you have a
take
piece
it.
of ID too?
I'm gonna
Okay.
give you an ID, whatever you
Okay.
want. You don't like answering questions. That's not a crime for me to
You know
ask.
the question. You know the answer. You know everything.
No, I'm asking you for an answer. If you don't want to answer, that's fine. You're,
Like 4 months that
you're embarrassed by the answer. That's why you want to give me a ticket, because you're embarrassed by it.
Beginnen? Ik heb dat mooie, perfecte metaal.
What is there? What is the paper that?
That's for my lawyer. If you're going to harass me, I'll sue you. That's what it says. And that's the curfew letter. So if you want to harass me, no problem. Go ahead, I'll sue you. Each and every one of you.
Okay, sir.
What is your name?
You will be able to sue me.
What's your name and badge number?
You will have this on the paper.
So why don't you give it to me?
Go back on the sidewalk.
Are you proud of your job was the question. Yes or no will do. If someone were to say, Ezra, are you proud of your job? I would say I'm proud of the job, but more than that, I'm proud of my team. I'm proud of everyone who works on this project. I'm proud of what we're doing. So I would have a lot to say. If you said, Ezra, are you proud of Rebel News? You couldn't get me to shut up. If I wasn't proud of Rebel News, I wouldn't want to admit that, probably. Or I might say, we've had some problems and I promise we're fixing it. Like I would either own it or I would disown it. But what you probably wouldn't do is you probably wouldn't say you were not proud of it without doing something to fix it. Again, a little flashback to when I was in school. I remember I had a professor, Dr. Bob Schultz, who said, I'll teach you ethics in one sentence. How would you feel if what you did was on the front page of the Calgary Herald? That was the local newspaper. He said, that's it. That's the test. When you're doing something, how would you feel if it was on the front page of your hometown newspaper, what you did? How would you feel if your mom knew about it, your grandma, your friends, your business associates, your family, your doctor, your kids' friends' parents? Isn't that really? Like you don't need like 20 detailed rules. You can, got to keep the lawyers employed. But if you want to know a test for ethics, it's a gut test really, because every case is a little different. Would you feel okay if what you just did was on the front page of the paper? Now, that's not to say there aren't some things that are private or confidential. You don't have to have everything on the front page. If you would be embarrassed of something becoming public, that's not necessarily proof that it was unethical. For example, if someone said, tell me your private health situation, let me see your medical records. Why, are you afraid of something? No, it's not, I'm afraid. Those are, for example, private. So you don't need your bank statements on the front, but you don't need your medical records on the front page of the paper. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about inherently private. There are inherently private things, inherently personal things. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how you do at work. That's not inherently personal. Are you proud of your job? That's what I would love to answer that question. And if I wasn't, see, the reason that cop didn't say yes is because you're really proud of what you're doing. Why wouldn't he say yes if he was proud? I would have, if I was proud. You proud of your job? Yeah. Just say it then. Why won't you say yes? Unless maybe you're not so proud of it. In which case, you wouldn't say no because, well, then what are you doing? I think the fact that that man hesitated shows that he maybe has a little bit of a soul. And maybe he actually knows a little bit. If you would have asked, and again, I don't mean to overstate it, but, there were regular Red Army soldiers, and then there was the KGB. There was regular German Wehrmacht soldier, and then there was the Nazis. They weren't the same thing. You were conscripted. I think I probably told you the story of my friend who was 16 years old, and he was conscripted into the German army in 1945. 16 years old. Did I tell you the story? And they gave him a gun. I didn't tell you the story. I'm not going to say his name. I think he's passed away now. Yeah, he must have passed away now. Because he'd be I haven't seen him in 10 years. I think he passed away. He was a good man. I'm not going to say his name. I met him because he was 16 or a teenager, not of tender years. He wasn't like 10 years old. He was a boy. They gave him a gun. They said, go. This was on the Western Front, not the Red Army. This was when the Allies, the Americans or Canadians or whoever was coming. Must have been Canadians. I'll tell you why in a minute. He was arrested. He was captured immediately upon contact with the enemies without even firing a shot. Like, he's a boy, and they saw that. They captured him immediately, and what did they do with him? They put him on a train, put him on a boat, took him to Alberta, to a prisoner of war camp. Do you know there were prisoner of war camps? Why don't you Google that while we're yapping? So this teenager was conscripted when he was, I think he was 16. I'm not going to say his name, but maybe I'll check. And he spent the rest of the war in Alberta, in a prisoner of war camp. And I don't know if you know what a prisoner of war camp is. You're not treated like a criminal. You're not prosecuted. Being part of an enemy army is not in itself a crime. Now, there's certain war crimes you can commit that would cause you to be prosecuted, but simply being a soldier in an enemy army is not a crime. We don't prosecute. In fact, you hold them until the war is over, and then you return them. There you go. There you go. I've never actually seen these pictures before. So he was sent to Alberta, and you know what? He loved it. He loved it, and there was nothing to return home to in Germany. I'd never seen those photos before. So he stayed. He stayed in Alberta, and he became a great man. And he told me the story of how before they let him out, he had to take a denazification exam. I haven't told you this story? I love this story. It's such a good story. Such a good guy. And I learned interesting things from him. Like, they had to take exams about their feelings about Hitler and Nazism. And I don't know. I wonder what was, maybe we could, the happiest prisoners. Mount Baldy, I've been to camp in Mount Baldy. The happiest prisoners. The best thing to happen to him. I wonder if my friend's in this. So 6,000. It's how many of them felt about their time here, and it's partly why more than 6,000 wanted to stay after the war ended. The first camps were created to lock up some 358 individuals of questionable loyalty living in Canada. Now that's no good. I'm talking about, oh, and then they took some is it the British? Right. Then they took a bunch, so you're in the UK, you don't want to have a bunch of Germans in the UK, so you put them on a boat, you send them, oh, they're captured in North Africa. So who's that guy there? Siegfried Oswa. That's not my friend. My friend was much younger. That guy looks like he's in his 20s or something. Anyway, we don't have to go that. My point is, my friend, who was press ganged into the army, given a rifle, pointed west, said go, was captured immediately, put on a train, put on a boat, put on a train, came to Alberta, stayed and he never left. I said, I want to stay. He took his denazification exams, he passed. I'm not going to tell you the score he got because it wasn't perfect. And I always thought, what did you get wrong? You're taking your denazification exam. I can only imagine what you got something wrong. Like you didn't get a perfect test. Now he was a teenager. I don't know. Maybe he didn't understand, or maybe it was something technical. I'll have to find out. Was it multiple choice? Here's a Jew. What do you do? What do you say? Oh my God. I shouldn't have mentioned that because that makes it seem he wasn't a good guy. He actually was a Philo-Semite. I think one of the reasons he liked me so much was that I was Jewish. And he was a deeply Christian man, and he hated the war and he hated the Nazis, and he loved Alberta and he stayed and we became friends. But he just told me about the denazification exam, and I'm not going to say it because the way he talks about I know the grade he got. It was not as good as it should have been. And he said it in a German accent. And he boasted about it. I'm not going to say it because he was, and I think he's with the Angels now. I think he passed away. Makes sense. He would have been born in 1928, right? So he'd be over 90 now. I think he did pass away. He was a great man who never did anything wrong morally in his life. He was not a Nazi. He was pressed into the Wehrmacht. In fact, he lived an exemplary life. I happened to meet him and become friends with him and his family, actually. And if anything, they were super Philo-Semites. They really admired the Jews and were very strong Christians. And I think, anyhow, you ask a guy like that, are you proud of your job in the Wehrmacht? He would say no. And he immediately would defect. In fact, I don't think he even defected. I think he was just captured. He was a kid. Are you proud of what you're doing? Are you proud of your job? That's what Yankee asked. Are you proud of your job? And he would not answer. There's good reasons for saying no. My friend, his name was Gary. I'm not going to say his last name. My friend Gary would have said, no, I'm not proud of my job. I don't want this job. I was forced into it at gunpoint. I want to get out of it, and I want to live a better life. And he did, in fact. But when you ask that cop, are you proud of what you're doing, and he will not answer, that's the tell, that's the giveaway that he's not proud of what he's doing. But he can't quite say it, and he's trapped because he's on camera. So if he says, I am proud of it, that's going to look awful, because what are you doing, catching Jews at night and demanding their papers? But if he says, no, I'm not proud of it, well, the bosses will see it. He'll probably get in trouble. And viewers would say, well, then why are you doing it, mate? So it's actually a great question by Yankee. Don't ask any questions. That's fine for two private citizens to say to each other, don't ask me any questions. It's a good answer. Let's say the paparazzi are following you and they're asking you questions. You say, don't ask me any questions. Yeah, if you're a free person, you don't have to answer any questions. But when it's a cop with a gun saying, don't ask me any questions, that implies there's a command behind it. So if you saw Alec Baldwin, who is a fading star from the 1990s, on the street, and asked him questions, he could say, "Stop! Don't ask me any questions." And you might obey him, or you might say, "No, you're just Alec Baldwin. You're some over the hill, fading 1990 celebrity. I'll ask you all the questions I like." And what's he going to do? He's going to walk away, maybe, or get back in his limo. Or maybe he'll have a rage moment on you. But when a cop says, "Don't ask me any questions," there's an implied or else to it, right? Because the guy's packing a gun. "Don't ask me any questions." If Alec Baldwin says that to you, and shut up, Alec. "Don't ask me any questions." Oh, okay, you've got a gun, there's police sirens on, and you're aggressive towards me. Is that an order or is that a personal request? It blurs the line, doesn't it? "You're interrupting my job." I think that's the language he used, interrupting. I couldn't quite hear that word. But of course, we saw he was just standing around. It was the other cop who was asking the other Jew for his papers. So he wasn't interrupting. And by the way, he wasn't obstructing. He was on the sidewalk asking questions. That's not against the law. There was someone, a neighbor, who was yelling, "He's media," which I like that. That shows everyone knows Yankee. "Give me your papers and ID. I think that's maybe not verbatim what he said, but he said, "Give me your show me your papers." And as I joked, he said it in English, not the original German. But and now I feel bad because Gary, I almost said his last name. Gary was German, but he was a great man, and he didn't believe in the Nazi idea. That same cop said, "Give me your papers," but he knew who Yankee was, right? So "Give me your papers and ID," but like 30 seconds later, he said, you exactly know the answer, right? Yankee was asking questions, and the cop said, "You know the answer. You've been doing this for 3 to 4 months." Okay, hang on. I thought you didn't know who he was because you just said, "Give me your paper and ID." That's just a way of harassing, isn't it? Now. That whole thing was a rather low intensity conflict. And again, it's the observer effect because Yankee had his camera on. But it's just the latest of so many interactions and harassments. All right, I'm gonna read some super chats. I'm sorry for the delay. Let's just do a little quick comparison. Rumble, 1,574 viewers. YouTube, 1,670 viewers. And let's get Odyssey back up for tomorrow. I really like those guys. Thanks. So we have just a sniff more viewers on YouTube. But if we have, I don't know why I'm having some problem doing this math in my head, but if we have 25,000 followers on Rumble and we have 1.45 million, so we really have 1.7% of the followers on Rumble that we do on YouTube. 58 times more. Thanks. What did I say? 60? Okay, my math wasn't that bad. I'm getting old. I'm getting more of these Joe Biden moments, but I said 60. That's not that bad. Yeah, Joe Biden would have said 6. So we have 60 times more subscribers. 60, 60, 3 score, as Lincoln would say. 60 times more subscribers on YouTube than Rumble. Same number of live stream viewers. You will not convince me that YouTube doesn't have its thumb on the scale. Okay, you know what? There's a great video. There's 3 great videos. Oh my gosh, we got great videos here. I don't have time for all my stories about my buddy Gary and his denazification exam that he didn't ace. I shouldn't laugh. I remember telling that story to one friend, and he was just appalled, and he came up with like 10 guesses about questions that you could get wrong. I'm not going to do them on camera because they're too funny. Justin says, what's the lowest score and still be let in? Apparently, what did we read there? 6,000 wanted to stay? Just stop and think about how amazing that is. You're a prisoner of war, and you want to stay in the country that imprisoned you. You don't want to go home. Now, partly because Germany was rubble, but that's quite a testament to what Canadians are like, isn't it? They were given jobs, Justin says. That's unusual. Who knows? Who knows what that's all about? Okay, I'm going to read some of these super chats because I am grateful that. So are you sending them to me on? There we go. Thanks. I just found them. Thrifty McTightwad donated $10. Is that no? That's an old one, isn't it? Okay. Stop reading Rebel chats under $10. If people want their comment read on the show, they can pony up at least a 10 spot. Also, Rebel should create an anonymous portal for police officers to express their disagreement to the orders they've been given. There's a lot of smart stuff in that tweet, isn't there? You know, you're right. I mean, I'm grateful for anyone even chipping in a buck, but if there's a gazillion for a buck, it does take up time, and, you know, I take your point. Very interesting point about police officers. There is Police on Guard. Is that the name of the group? I think we should do some more work with them. And we got a very interesting secret letter this morning. I won't get into it. I'll let David tell that story himself. So there are good guys out there. I think that it was a good guy story we heard this morning. Kane Enmark, $4. Chuck Schumer said yesterday, excited to watching the Oscars with a plant-based beer. I saw that tweet. Can you find that, Chuck? Oh, it was so weird. And he looked so uncomfortable and so fake. And no one is excited to watch the Oscars. And no one watches the Oscars in a hardback chair pulled up right in front of a TV screen like he's on the edge of his seat. Look at that. Excited to be watching the Oscars with an ice-cold plant-based beer. Thanks, Joe Biden. Is that how you watch the Oscars? In a wooden chair, 2 feet away from the screen, with a beer, and you say, hey, come take a picture of me. Honey, come take a picture of me. And that's it. What's a plant-based beer? Now, I'm not an aficionado, but I don't think there is any... Yeah, hops and barley and some wheat, and there's some different kinds of beers of slightly different grains in them, but it is essentially a vegetable. When on the Canada Food Group, you'll see it in the vegetables category. I jest, but there is no such thing as a meat-based beer. I don't know if that was attempted as a humor, or that's just Chuck Schumer, not quite sure. Jameson, $4. Ezra, you need to watch this video. Rocco G and the alleged hoax leaked email, which may have been let out purposefully by the feds to see if people would outcry. I think you're talking about what's called the Liberal Policy Memo. I said that is sort of a prophecy by a critic who's looking forward to things and imagining the future. It is not a historical document written by the Liberal Party. I think that whoever called it a leaked document knew that would make it seem sexier. It's really a work of fan fiction by someone who understands the government, but the Liberal Party of Canada did not author that document. It's powerful on its own as a roadmap for tyranny, but it was not authored by the Liberals, I'm sorry. So I'm not disputing the vision, I'm disputing its provenance or authority. Simply put, the Liberal Party of Canada does not develop policy. It is a fundraising organization that works on door knocking and candidate recruitment. It does not create policy. I'm sorry, it doesn't. They're chumps. They're the people who go to these wine and cheeses with Justin Trudeau and he says, thank you for your donation. They're not policymakers. V-Gang Studios, some based bad mothers up in Rebel House. Great to see you soldiers back on my morning news TV. Legends, A matey, Ezzy mate, you forgot my super chat on Friday. No biggie, but you touched it $3 and a slap in the back. Cheerio till next time. Say hi to the team. Thank you very much. I'm sorry I missed your super chat on Friday. SVG Gang Studios. Nothing better than in my mornings than to hear Ezzy's voice. Maybe I need friends in life. Yeah, I'm grateful I'm grateful for your friendly note, but I was talking about walking a dog. That's a good way to get through the pandemic. It gives you something to focus on, gets you away from the Netflix, gets you away from your phone. You know what else? And I was saying this to Justin today. Going to the dog park with the other dog owners and you're standing around, your dogs are playing, the dogs play with each other. What do? You chat with the other dog owners. And the chat, you always have something to talk about. The dogs. What kind of dog is that? What kind of dog is that? What's your dog name? What's your dog name? How old's the dog? So before you know it, you're chit-chatting. And I have met more of my neighbors through the dog than I have in the years before that. So it is all around a positive thing. And I think it teaches the kids both care for a living being. If you take care of a dog, if you are nice to a dog, if you learn patience with a dog, then maybe you'll show some of those same traits towards a person, right? You don't be too impatient with the dog. He's just a dog. Don't be mad at the dog because he did something. He's just a dog. He's still figuring out how to be a dog. Take some responsibility, and you got to do some things you don't like, cleaning up poop. So getting a dog has been the number one thing, and may I recommend that? I mean, it's nice that you like my voice, but I say, get a dog. I saw someone walking their cat on a leash in the dog park. I thought it was bloody weird. I won't lie. In a dog park? Why are you bringing your cat on a leash to a dog park? Believe me, I held on to my dog because I thought, don't pick a fight with that cat. The Silent Majority Band, $4. We have the Silent Majority, a Canadian conservative punk band. We just released our parody song, Weak Lib, about Justin Trudeau. Rebel Media got a shout out in the first verse. Would you be willing to check it out or review? Well, I'll take a look. MEC, $2 through Super Chat. Saddened, Montreal. Thank you, Ezra. Great work. Look, I'm not saying that they're Nazis or tantamount to Nazis, but I am saying that there's something deeply creepy and historically resonant about pulling over Orthodox Jews in full Orthodox garb in the middle of the night saying, show me your papers. I'm sorry, that's creepy. That's just creepy. And if you don't think it's creepy, you would not get perfect on your denazification exam. MEC, $2. Thank you, Yankee, for the exposure, Montreal. Philippe Revard. Hi, Rebels. We have a huge march coming up in Montreal on May 1st. Citizens are coordinating and chartering buses from all over the province. It'll be bigly. Hope to see you there or your coverage afterwards. Talk to Samuel Grenier for more information. Very interesting. May 1st, of course, is May Day. It's an interesting mix of people. My one worry is that Antifa will come and try and do agents provocateurs moves and smash things up to blacken the name of peaceful anti-lockdown protesters. It's my one worry, because Montreal is the most Antifa-thick city in Canada, and believe me, those boys would fail their denazification exams. And I'll tell you the full story when the camera's off, and because it's funny. I'm not looking to make fun of Gary, but the way he said it to me, I'll never forget. Donna Winner, I left your message on your Facebook page about the leak. Yeah, sorry, I read that already. Oh, you're saying please watch and reassess. All right, I'll look at it again. But you're not going to convince me simply with the passage of time that is a Liberal Party document. I know enough about the Liberal Party and its different structures and the people and the kind of people on it to know that does not have the provenance you say it has. If the reason you value that document is because you think it's a leaked memo, as opposed to the substance of what the dystopian future could look like, you are being distracted. The problem is not the memo, it's what the memo describes as a possible future for us. So don't obsess over the provenance of it, fight the facts of it. Annalisa S., my father was forced to join Hitler's Youth. 30 years later, he received a document from the German government offering him compensation. Isn't that interesting? That is very interesting. I did not know they did that. You know what? I did not see those websites you pulled up today, Justin, about I didn't know 6,000 states. Makes sense. Especially Alberta. What a lovely place. And I think Canada has 6 countries, what they call it, Mount Baldy. I've been there. I think there's like a kids camp, Camp Kiwanis or something there. It is that's where kids go to camp. Like, it's so lovely, and it's in the foothills before the Rocky Mountains. Who wouldn't want to stay there? You know, probably reminded my friend of the Alps. John Yoga, $1. Hey, Ezra, interesting story about your German friend. I was happy to hear he had a change of heart and repented. Well, not even that. He was never a Nazi. He was a 16-year-old kid. He was not a Nazi. He was like 11 when the war started. In the final years, they were just so desperate because the war was a meat grinder, especially on the Eastern Front. The Red Army just killed everything in sight. So they were going 18, 17, 16, you know, so my friend was press gang, you know, and he was never nice. So it wasn't a change of heart. He never had that heart. He was given, so that's my point. There's a difference between the Wehrmacht and the Nazis. My friend was a 16-year-old kid. He was forced into the Wehrmacht, and he surrendered immediately upon contact with the West. John Yoga, hey Ezra, interesting story about your German friend. Oh, sorry, I just read that. Also, Ezra, what do you make of the COVID situation in India? I can't believe anything anymore. I want to learn more about it, but it looks to me like Joe Biden is punishing India for Narendra Modi's friendship with Trump, and that is absolutely something Biden would do. It's absolutely something that Justin Trudeau would do. Nietzsche, $4 at the protest in Chatham today. Derek Sloan and Randy Hillier here. Where are you at Rebel? Was hoping to meet the Menzoid here. Well, part of the answer is this is the second largest country in the world. Ontario, is Ontario bigger than Quebec? Physically, geographically? I think Quebec might be larger physically. Very large. Chatham. I've been to Chatham. It's a very big country. There's stories everywhere. I can assure you, no moss is growing on David or any of our people. We were, in fact, let me show you a little video from Hamilton. Here's one of our head of video, Ephraim, was in Hamilton. We got two vids in a row. Let's play the first and then let's play the second.
All right, on the count of 3, yell freedom.
So Helen, you were here last week and part of the protest.
Yes.
At the same location last Sunday, and you were ticketed 880. Can you explain to our viewers what happened to you?
This was my second Sunday here at a peaceful rally in front of City Hall. I was shocked. I said, what are you doing? I was like traumatized and started sobbing, crying. And I said, what am I getting written up for? Oh, because you're not home.
Hello. 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 Oh, yeah.
Also, we saw you littering the tickets from the other day. Right? You people have to acknowledge it.
This is what I want you to do.
Part of the press. What's your ID say, sir? I just want to see. Efron, is that how you say it?
Yeah. What's your badge number, by the way? So you guys are all bylaw and not police?
You got everything you need on camera. My name, everything.
I like Efron so much. Isn't he getting so strong? It takes courage. It takes courage to do that. I was telling my dog neighbors, they were worried because we were talking in the middle of the street, and they said something about, well, what if someone sees there's a congregation? And I never talk politics when I'm doing the dog stuff, or at least I try not to. And I said, well, you got to say to the police, show me your warrant. Get a warrant. And like they were worried about their home. And that was such a shocking thing for them to hear. Like that was like I said, oh, just part the seas with your staff like Moses. Like it's like I told them something so insane and absurd and supernatural. And I mean, so saying to a cop, are you a cop or bylaw? What's your name? What's your badge number? And keeping the camera on, that's so alien to normal people, isn't it? That's how we roll here at Rebel News, because we sort of know our rights. And we're inspired by Jay-Z's 99 Problems. I ain't passed the law, but I know a little bit, enough you want to legally search my shit, you know? That's our inspiration, one of our many mottos here. It's tough to say that if you're a normal human. And that's a bit of the observer effect there. That cop isn't used to, that's not a cop, that's a bylaw officer, not used to journalists who don't bend the knee. So very proud of Efron. And you know what? It's also a sad statement about the nature of our competitors in the media party. They would never cover an anti-lockdown protest. They would never scrutinize police in that manner. I can count the exceptions on one hand's fingers. Anthony Fury, Joe Warmington, and I'm done, I think. If I'm leaving someone else out, let me know. So that's courage. Efrain Oswaldo Flores Monsanto. He's great. We got some great people. He started with us right out of school, and now he's the head of video. He's doing great, and he goes out and he does stories like that. So he was out there and he was covering it, and there was no other journalist doing that. And so there was an impromptu hip hip hooray. Show the next one. This is Efrain in Hamilton. Take a look.
Rebel news! Truth! Yes!
Yeah, there you go. That's his hometown, by the way. Okay, now I mentioned it's 1:06, but I want to keep going because there's a couple more vids. And I got criticism the other day for going on too much about that unicycle study. I'll have to send you that unicycle study for you to read on your own time. It was like about 45 minutes. We read every word. It was in I think it was in the British Medical Journal. I'm not going to rehearse it right now, but a guy learned how to unicycle, and he went out, same clothes, same every day. He got 400 reactions to him on a unicycle, and he made notes: the age, the sex, and sort of what they said, everyone's reaction to him. And give me 30 seconds, because you used to work in the industry. What do you think people think of guys on unicycles? At a carnival or a circus, yes, it's a fun thing. But on the street, you see a guy on a unicycle? Well, see, you're one of the 5%, because 95% of guys hate unicycle riders. I'll share with you the study. But you have an open heart because you know these people. Unicycle. Who would learn how to ride a unicycle? Okay, let me show you. Someone said, where are you in Chatham? I want to show you Randy Hillier, a sitting member of the provincial parliament here in Ontario, getting a ticket. And, again, I do not believe anyone should be above the law or below the law. That's why I think it's gross that Catherine Tate, the president of the CBC, commutes every week from her home in Brooklyn without a quarantine, just because she's the president of the CBC, while your grandma can't come back to Canada from Florida without going into a hotel quarantine, while you can't have more than 10 people at your funeral. The elite class, the NHL players get to play, but not your kids. So I hate the double standard. I think politicians should be held to account the same as anyone else. But, for example, Rod Phillips and half, like seriously 10 members of the caucus in Alberta and many members and governments across Canada have been breaking all the quarantine rules. But it's only Randy Hillier that gets a ticket. Have you heard of any other politician in Canada getting a ticket for breaking lockdown? Like any? No. I mean, some of them have been caught breaking the rules, but none have been punished by the law that I've seen, except Randy Hillier. Take a look at this.
Get out! Tell him, Randy. You tell him. Randy's asking that we back off. Let's take a step back. Let's take a step back for Randy.
Hey, one step back.
No. You don't be lying anymore. You don't be lying. You don't dare lay a hand on him.
We are non-violent.
Well, should be good.
Take the man approach and grow the hell up. There you go. It's not fucking funny. You're not winning. Somebody get him. Somebody get him.
Leave him alone. He's the great guy. He's going to be our next prime minister of 3 years. Leave him alone. That's the escalation.
That is an angry crowd. And you saw our own David Menzies there in the chapeau. He stands out even from behind with that hat. Yeah, they were not having it. Now, there were a lot of police, and there was 1 or 2 police right engaged with Randy Hillier, but you saw when that camera panned, there were others there. Will the police shoot anyone for not wearing a mask? That hasn't happened yet in Canada. There's been assaults for not... Has there been a shooting for a mask? There was a shooting... I don't think it was a police shooting. We've seen other police violence and police brutality for masks. It'll be interesting which cop shoots someone in the name of public health first. That'll be really interesting. It'll be terrible, and I can tell you right now that the consensus in the media party will be good. He deserved it. I can promise you that will be the reaction right now. It's as plain as day. It's 1:11. Have I caught up more or less on the Super Chats? There's a couple more to take a little look-see. Paul Saunders, $7. Ezra, have you seen the latest visit to Pastor Pavlovsky? Dinesh D'Souza posted on his Rumble channel. Well, indeed, I have seen it. You may know that Arthur Pavlovsky is a client of Fight the Fines. In fact, client number 1. And then we've taken on several other tickets. Those crazy Calgary cops went back to his church again during services with a bunch more cops with guns. Why don't you guys meet him at his lawyer's office? Why are you going I talked about reminiscences of Jews in Germany, and we talked about denazification and stuff. But of course, the Germans also crushed Christian churches that were not submissive to Nazism. So, and of course, after the Nazis came the Soviet communists, and Arthur Pavlovsky is from Poland, a country that was victimized first by the Nazis, then by the communists. Enough preamble from me. Here's a video.
What we want to do is make sure that we're not going to disrupt anything in the service. The idea
this is you have a wrong. This is not street church. This is not street church. You have a wrong.
There's both things are actually on there. Both churches are detailed on there. So if we could come and do
the Cave of Adullam is not a registered organization, and this is not street church. So you have a wrong. You gotta do your homework first before you come. Okay? You have a wrong. You have a wrong organization.
Okay, that is for you, Arthur. I will send it to you by email too, if you'd like. I just wanted to be able to come today and then at least explain the order, serve the order, and then we can stand at the back.
No, you can contact. No. You can contact my lawyer. Okay, my lawyer takes care of this. I'm not interested to listen to any word you have to say. I do not cooperate with the Gestapo. I do not talk to the Nazis. You came in your uniforms like thugs. That's what you are. Brown shirts of Adolf Hitler. You are Nazi, Gestapo, communist, fascist. I do not cooperate with Nazis. Talk to my lawyer. You're not allowed here. You're not welcomed here. And I'm not going to cooperate with Gestapo like you, okay? So is that fair enough for you? Talk to my lawyer.
I just wanted to explain a little bit about the order.
I'm not interested.
I just wanted to at least have a conversation.
I'm not interested in talking. You see, this is what the Gestapo is doing. You're coming to the place of worship to intimidate and to harass. So you can make an appointment. Lady, listen to me. You can make an appointment another day.
Okay,
you Gestapo!
You don't need to shout.
Another day! Not this day! Not this day!
Okay.
Not during the church!
Okay.
You understand? Make an appointment!
Okay, fine.
Okay, so go!
See you later on. Have a good day.
You are sick. That's what you are. And rightfully so, you change your uniforms to black because you're exactly acting like the Gestapo of old.
What is their problem? Why do they go to his church during services? He has a lawyer. I know that. I know her name, Sarah Miller. I know that because we crowdfund to help his ticket. He was client number 1. I think he's got 12 more tickets or something that we're helping him with. And I actually know that he has hundreds over the course of a year. I think he said he has like 28 just from the pandemic alone. We're not helping with all of them. I think we're helping with like 12 of them. So I know his lawyer. She's excellent. He probably has other lawyers too, I assume, because he's always in conflict with authorities. Why is it necessary? You know what? I don't know if you've ever engaged in litigation, but litigation often starts with giving a piece of paper to the other side, usually a court document of some sort. And that giving of the paper is called service. I serve the document on you. And there's certain requirements for serving a lawsuit. In many cases, you have to effect what's called personal service. You have to physically hand it to someone. If it's a corporation, maybe mail it to the registered mail to the corporate office. There's different standards of service. If someone is being evasive, you can get a court order for what's called substitutional service. That means, for example, you could nail it on someone's door. You could even send it by email. There's email service. If your normal way of giving someone a lawsuit is frustrated, if they're hiding from you, if you can't find them, in the past, courts have allowed you to publish an ad in someone's hometown newspaper. Did you know that, Justin? In the olden days before the internet, if you couldn't find someone, if they were hiding, you could post an ad for, let's say, every day for a week in a local newspaper to give that person notice, because courts really believe it's important to give someone notice of a lawsuit. She said, I don't know if you heard her, she said she was there to serve an order. Did you hear that? But do you hear what he said? He said, give it to my lawyer. That's my point, is once you have a lawyer on an issue, that lawyer can accept service for you. So they don't have to chase you around. The lawyer has introduced himself or herself to the other party. So now just the lawyers can chat with each other and they can accept service. You don't have to nail it to someone's door. You don't have to take out an ad in the newspaper. You don't have to physically attend at the church in the middle of a service, this time with, I think I counted 6 black-clothed, masked, armed thugs of the Calgary Police, one of the most notorious police forces in the country for its anti-Christian bigotry. All of that is unnecessary shock and awe. My point about explaining what service is, Justin, is if a guy refuses service, fine. You gotta be creative. You know, sometimes people hire a private investigator. We've done that. Hire to find someone's hiding. Hire a PI, find them. You know, go to where they hang out. Arthur's not hiding. He has a lawyer. You don't need to go to his church to serve him. You just send it to Sarah Miller, the lawyer, and say, will you please accept service on behalf of your client Arthur? And Sarah writes back, yes. And it's done. This whole thing was a staged theatrical moment designed to intimidate, dominate, abuse, and interrupt and disrupt and intimidate the churchgoers. She did not need to serve it in that manner because she literally knows the name of the lawyer who has said, hey, I'm the lawyer. You don't need to bug Arthur anymore. I'm right here. I've got a cell phone, an office phone, a fax, an email. I will be your messenger. But these little thugs are going straight to Arthur. Why? Is it more, he's just going to pass it to his lawyer anyways. So why are they not sending it to the lawyer? Because they want to harass him. Let me catch up. Donald Winter at Buck61. Could you please interview Rocco Galati? He said the video that UBI is in its second reading. 20%. Okay, is that Universal Basic Income? Is that what that stands for? I haven't been following that enough. DevNet, $5. Did you hear about Christine Elliott refer to pregnant women as pregnant individuals? Come on, did she say that? Oh my God. How long before O'Toole adopts the same idiotic language? I'm surprised he hasn't already put his pronouns in his Twitter bio. Rocky Mountain Mom, $12. I'm very proud of you all, Rebel News, especially the reporters of Montreal. You are the real news. May the Lord protect you, keep you safe, and give you the power to push forward. Well, thanks very much for that. Yeah, I keep saying that to Yankee. I say, Yankee, don't be more like me, be more like you. But he's getting a little, he's asserting his rights. Oric, $1, thank you. Hillier, 44, $10. Ezra, Rebel News is a perfect fit for the censorship-free Brighteon, founded by Health Ranger Mike Adams after he was deplatformed from YouTube for anti-vaccine videos. Spell Brighteon correctly. Google will try to redirect you. All right, I've heard that, but I've never been there. We're certainly learning more about censorship in different video platforms, and we hope to be a founding content creator of a new Canadian-based anti-censorship platform that we expect to debut as soon as this week, so I'm excited about that too. Let me close the show. I think we're all caught up with a final tally. There are 1,635 people watching on YouTube and 1,598 people watching on Rumble, which is just 30 people, about 30 people different, or 2%. So they're basically identical viewership. We have 60 times more subscribers on YouTube, identical viewership between Rumble and YouTube. Don't tell me that's not fixed. Don't tell me they don't have their thumb on the scale. And that's why, whereas I thought I would be despondent or depressed or upset with YouTube giving us the boot, I don't want them to give us the boot, but the only reason for that is I want to still talk to my 1.45 million friends on YouTube. But it doesn't seem like YouTube's even allowing us to do that in the best of times. Like, these YouTube numbers right now are normal YouTube numbers for us for live stream. That's normal. After like a year and a half of doing daily live streams. We've been on Rumble for 2 weeks, and we're already matching that. That cannot be explained away. There is something deeper there. And I think censorship is the most obvious example. All right, do we have a dog video today? I sure did talk about dogs. I'll have to bring in some dog vids to show. Although, it's probably like kids. Everyone thinks their kid's the cutest. Everyone thinks their dog's the cutest. The dog videos that you professionally curate are probably going to be better than the dog videos that are like my home movies of the dog. But I'll say goodbye now to everybody, and over to you for the dog video. See you later, everybody.